Hello there, you're listening to another Scoutcast on www.fantasyfootballscout.co.uk, and my name is Mark.
My name's Granville.
And my name's Jonty.
Good evening, gentlemen. Before we start, I've just realised I left the door open. I better shut that before we get rudely interrupted. Hold on a minute.
Okay.
Don't let the cat in. I've learned. So how you doing, Jonty?
Yeah, good. Had an excellent game week. Don't know about you.
Yeah, it's magnificent.
Best start ever.
It's incredible. It's incredible. But
It's almost
yeah,
I lost count of all the points.
That's better. Yeah, sorry about that. Yes, because I'm in the garden now, so anything could come in. Cats, dogs, the whole lot. Good evening. Welcome to the Scoutcast, episode 163, I think it is. First one for the new season. Very excited to be here. We've had terrible game weeks, so you're lucky to have us, quite frankly. Good evening, Jonty. Good evening, Granville. Yes. How are you feeling, guys? Jonty first. How you doing?
We've just been discussing how marvellous our game weeks have gone, and you know, it's great to get a march over players like yourself.
Yeah.
No,
it's like
we of course all had terrible game weeks, and I've got 31 points with no one playing tonight.
That's all right. That's going to beat me, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say that's going to beat both of us, I think, Jonty.
Well, you've got Mark. You've got Silver and Sterling playing, and Granville, you've got Sterling. Okay, well, you know, you've got some points coming there. It's one of those game weeks where you think, ooh, 2 points, that'll do.
Yes, quite frankly, I should have a goal already, as my caption says. Unbelievable, what's going on?
I know. I think it's possible that it'll be given, but it's unfortunately for you and others, it may be coming later by the dubious goals panel.
Absolutely no use to me. I need all the help I can get as well. Graham, you must be happy about that. Have you seen it yet?
Yeah, but you know, Ellie matches my bad luck, doesn't it? Look at my caption. What is one to do?
You brought that on yourself. Cameron Jerome you're referring to there, I trust it, not the Tory MP. But okay, so what we got ahead of us? We got some rough of the smooth, haven't we, Jonty?
Yeah, we have. We've got some good ones there. Usually we have much more roughs than smooths, and I was anticipating lots more roughs with smooth this week because it's been terrible. But people haven't got the hang of it yet, and everyone's been bragging. So we've got all the
smooths, none of the rough.
All the smooths. We've got a few roughs. We've got a few bit of rough.
There's plenty of rough here amongst the three of us. What else we're going to do tonight? We're going to look at basically lots of community questions to kick the seasons off. A lot of uncertainty. Lots of questions for us about our teams and how we failed. We'll look at next week's fixtures as well. Do a little preview of that. We'll look at the Scout Leagues early on, and then round off with our transfers for next week. Plenty to get through and plenty to consider. So yeah, let's just discuss our game weeks in a bit more detail then. What went wrong with you, Granville, apart from Cameron Jerome?
Of course, bad choices. I had 4 players who didn't even start. I had Cameron, of course, didn't start. I had Mings. I had Walcott, and I had one other. Who was the other guy I had? Bellerin.
Okay, now
Bellerin had a late injury, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, let's get on to the Walcott thing because that hit a lot of people very hard, me included. I had him as captain, which I know you found very amusing, Granville, on the day. I was very surprised to see him not start. I know that Wenger had said that he was going to rotate the strikers. I'm aware of that, but I really felt West Ham at home, he would. I didn't think he'd play Coughlin. I thought he'd play Ramsey and Cavola in the pivot, and I thought he would go for it and play Walcott up front. Didn't do that.
No, I wasn't sure about Walcott up front, but I certainly think he should have got in ahead of Oxlade-Chamberlain. It's just like, you know, he's got the experience. It's just that Oxlade scored the goal and had quite a good game in the Charity Shield. But that should be no reason to start him ahead of Walcott.
I have Walcott as my captain right up until Saturday morning, really. And what swayed me was some figures that I hadn't seen that week, but I didn't realise that Giroud had such a good record against West Ham, which of course proved not to be the case. But he'd scored 5 goals in 5 games.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, okay, I'm looking at that. Now, Arsene Wenger must be aware of that. And I think, Mark, you made a point during this week as well, today, I think, about Walcott might be, or was it perhaps Paul in one of his articles about Walcott might be perhaps better utilised away when on the counter attack, and at home where defence is coming a bit tighter, a bit deeper. Giroud's expertise as a centre forward would be used, and I saw that, and I just thought it was enough doubt for me to switch at the last minute to Rooney. So on Saturday morning, I switched to Rooney as my captain. So
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
It's a goal.
Yeah, I saw it. Silver corner, I hope. Surely Company's just scored for City.
Scored. No, but Silver's not going to get the assist.
Surely he took that corner. Tell me he took it and not Navas. Yeah, I mean, I looking back, like we said before we went on air, catching hindsight and all that, there was enough doubt over Walcott. The thing is, I just felt that he'd been so impressive pre-season, and he started against Chelsea at the Community Shield. And I felt that if he's going to start him against Chelsea, he's going to start him at home to West Ham. But now, looking at it, I think obviously the fact that I discussed it with Paul about the reasons why he possibly plays Giroud. It's because teams turn up to the Emirates, defend deep, and Walcott's pace is less effective against teams that defend deep. Giroud's physicality, perhaps. As it turned out, I think Wenger will probably have regretted that decision because Giroud didn't have the best of games. Arsenal just lacked. I don't know. Having looked so good in the Community Shield, what went wrong? I don't get it.
Can I say? I think they're just. I think it's all Arsenal again, easy to defend against, and they don't have another way of playing. It's as simple as that. West Ham had a game plan, and they put it to practice beautifully. I don't think at any point. I mean, there were a couple of chances. Maybe Sanchez should have scored later on, but I think West Ham. I know they gave away quite a few chances, but I think they played the right game plan, and they caught them on the break a couple of times.
Hugely impressive West Ham. Ogbonna. No, everyone's talking about Payet and obviously and Reece Oxford, who were brilliant. But Ogbonna looked a beast of a defender back there, and very good sign. He had Giroud in his pocket, which other defenders have had in the past, but I think one of the reasons why Giroud was ineffective is because Ogbonna just played so well. John, have you got any theories on Arsenal?
Yeah, well, I just thought that was the biggest surprise. I mean, game week 1 always has big surprises, as our scores show. But I think it was 8 years ago was when West Ham last beat Arsenal away from home, and that was when you might remember Bobby Zamora humiliated Sol Campbell, and it was pretty much the end of Sol Campbell's career. There, and that was West Ham's last great moment there. It just came out of the blue. I said Giroud's stats as well, but as you both pointed out, did it come out of the blue? They just with good planning, and it's something we've always discussed about. He doesn't have a plan B. He now has on a plate a plan B. It's Walcott or Giroud. You got the fast guy, or you got
the fast guy,
or you got the kind of competent centre forward. He even got a plan C. The bloke from Chile coming off the bench, who racked in, what was it, five shots at goal, 9 shots. I mean, quite an impressive amount for 30 minutes. So I don't look at that and think, oh no, Arsenal are not going to finish in the top 4. I'm not going to look at that and think Arsenal aren't going to absolutely hammer teams, and that Walcott is not going to score goals or get assists or. I'm not. Not knee-jerking anything there, but it's a worry. It's showing existing problems that haven't been ironed out, and what's going to happen is, from a football point of view, Arsenal are going to struggle to win the title, but from our fantasy manager's point of view, it's not anything we haven't seen before. For me, I've just got to temper my enthusiasm about Arsenal.
This is it. I've
also Walcott and Koscielny in my side.
Some idiots were tipping Arsenal for the title, Granville, before.
Yes, we've mentioned that before, haven't we? I was gonna mention that before Sunday, but in fact I did, didn't I? I mentioned it at the our get together the other week. They haven't changed at all. I mean, I don't think you're can win the title with just Giroud. And I know they've got Welbeck and everything, and they've got good midfielders, but you do need a top-notch centre forward to win the league. They'd have to book a trend to actually, to get past. You look at every single title winner. United with Rooney, Chelsea with
Costa,
Costa and
Drogba.
Previously Drogba, and City with Aguero, and then even before that, Blackburn with Shearer. So
what do I do with Walcott now? Because he's gonna play at Palace, isn't he?
You keep him, yeah. I think he's gonna play. He's still a good player. He's still a great player, in fact, and he's gonna score loads of goals. I don't think. Who else would you go to? And you go to Ramsey, Cazorla, Ozil, but they're all the same. They're all the same. You're not gonna be able to pick one out and go, he's the one who's going to outscore the others.
No,
I mean,
you either have all of them, a couple of them, or you just go. I think Walcott is the one that you need to have. For me, that's my opinion.
He looks, I would say, certain to start, and probably certain to start in the striker role against Palace. There's all certainties. He might not. But with Walcott, I don't have a problem with him coming on as a sub. The problem was Arsenal as a unit didn't perform. So Walcott obviously was part of that.
The thing is,
long term, I think Walcott, he has to go, because when you've got Sanchez, Aguero, Rooney, Kane, you've got all these expensive players. There's no room for a 9 million player that you can't captain, and that's the key really. He says, would you captain him? I don't think I could captain Walcott.
I think Walcott's going to be a starter for most weeks.
Really?
I do from that. Yeah, I do.
Well, I think what would be interesting is, there's two things here. One, he didn't play against West Ham because Wenger felt that West Ham were going to defend deep. But the problem is then there is no plan B, because when you bring on Walcott when you need a goal in that scenario, the visiting team are defending even deeper. Walcott came on and had no chance because they were defending on their 6-yard line. Yeah. So it's not really a plan B unless you start Walcott and that brings Giroud on. So there's no variation. Walcott can't do anything in that situation. Right? What Walcott can do is help break teams down initially. So I don't know, who am I to question?
All he is a replacement. Ox is a replacement for him, and he's a replacement for Ox. And I don't think they should play in any. I don't think Walcott should play up front. I think he played up front in the Charity Shield and was really pretty ineffective. We've said this before, haven't we? That if you got Walcott up front, he's bursting forward at breakneck speed, and no one could keep up with him. And you've got players like Cazorla and Ozil who aren't that fast. They play the ball to each other. It's just not going to work, I don't think. So I think Walcott is better. He's done most of his best work on the out wide.
Okay, John, what went wrong for you then, apart from...
as I said, Walcott, I don't necessarily see that as wrong. I made the right call in not captaining him. I went Rooney, and that worked out in my favour. The mistake I made is another of my kind of 11th hour changes. I had Pella instead of Wilson, and I also had Ritchie instead of Özil. So I decided to go Arsenal mad. So I now have Özil. The mistake is in terms of planning. So now I have Özil, Walcott, and Koscielny. If I want to get Sanchez in, so for example, I would normally be minded to get Sanchez in for Hazard this week. Do I have Hazard as well? I can't, because I have to get rid of an Arsenal player. So that was bad planning. Wilson, I took a punt on. I should have taken a punt on Ritchie, because punts sometimes don't work. I don't think that Bournemouth attacking punts are going to work. They might get some goals, but I'm not massively convinced. I think it's easier to replace Ritchie than it is Wilson. This could be a lovely segue into Granville's team, in that, where do I go from Wilson? I have to go for 5 million forwards, and basically Cameron Jerome is the only option. Whereas if I wanted to get rid of Ritchie, who I should have gone for, well, I've got Mahrez or Brighton already there on a plate. And
you've got Troy Deeney for Watford, who've got 2 home games. Same.
I could get Troy Deeney, but that's another.
Or Igalo.
Yeah,
there are a few choices.
I think there's more in midfield.
There's Verratti as well. There's 5. Was he 5'5"?
5'5",
5'5". And I'm not just saying that because he scored, but he's an alternative to Saka.
Yeah.
I mean, Saka looks good. 6.5 might be slightly too much. For your third striker, I don't know. I've got Kane, who. I
think that's a good move. Kane,
I think he looked decent against United in the first half. I switched when I was switching him about on Saturday morning, and I tried Pella out, and it gave me a bit more money to get a different fifth midfielder. I was always going to get Richie because I quite fancied to do something. But my fifth midfielder is Wanyama, and I know it's a fifth midfielder, you never play him, but I just hate having someone who are never going to play in my side. I prefer to have someone who can rotate, and I know, he said to me, you should have someone you can always bench and not worry about rotation because generally you get it wrong.
Yeah, that's what I always do.
I've kind of got three. I've got 6 big hitters. The thing is, I work for Ivanovic, which is probably way too early, and I might actually get rid of him this week. The other mistake I made was right at the last minute. I switched out. I had Oxford in. And I switched him to Mings for surety of starts. And what happens? Mings is the one who didn't play.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you're unlucky because Mings is first choice, and Eddie Howe's come out and said he's not quite match fit, which is why he didn't play. And Alex Neil has come out and said Cameron Jerome played too many pre-season games and was tired, so I didn't want to start him. Both Mings and Jerome are first choice. You were just incredibly unlucky with those two.
I think with Jerome, right, and he's not been mentioned hardly at all in RMTs over the summer. Yeah, he scored 20 goals last season. That's the same amount as Wilson, I think.
Yeah.
And he's 0.5 less. So
yeah, but the difference is Wilson's an unknown quantity in the top flight. Cameron Jerome isn't. We've seen him, and he struggled with Stoke, didn't he? So you can see why. I mean, I went Wilson. I'm getting rid of Wilson this week. I'm going Wilson to Sacco. Probably, but we'll talk about that at the end. But I do think Bournemouth. It's too early to say they're not going to come off.
Yeah, it's too early, but I'm not impressed. Just things like are they ready? They didn't get their shirts until 11 o'clock Friday night. There was commercial deals haven't been finalised. I mean, I remember I was speaking to Shipston Trev, a Fantasy Football Scouts resident Bournemouth fan and expert, and we've been reminiscing. I'm a Brighton fan, and we were reminiscing, tales from League 1 and 2 when Brighton and Bournemouth played each other and reeling off these players of old. And it's quite odd and almost preposterous that Bournemouth are in the Premier League. They haven't really strengthened that much. Watford have got basically got a whole new squad in.
So, is that a good thing?
Well, they seem to gel okay.
They're playing. The thing is, it's the first game of the season. Anything can happen.
Who knows?
Everton look well off it, I have to say. But, I expected Everton to win that one easily. I think Watford are going to concede goals all season.
Yeah. I mean, I think, but these are promoted sides. These are sometimes unknown players. They're all punts. So try and keep punts to a minimum, and I did that. It's just the established players that I went for, which served me so well at the start last season. Just go for the established names. Walcott, Özil, Koscielny, Hazard. Rooney was my best player. No, Azpilicueta was my best player, and I'm happy with him. I've seen enough with him. He's got some very strong tackling stats, and that helped.
Yeah. Straw clutching. Straw clutching the Azpilicueta.
That's such a dullard. That's such a dullard thing to say.
It is. This kind of game week, 6 points for a defender that concedes 2 is like, that's a goal.
It's coming down to BPS stats.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Jonty, there's 3 other defenders who are going to outscore him for sure. I think this season. I'm sure. Even Cahill's going.
I'm not too bothered about Koscielny. It's like, Arsenal conceded, but I'd look at Koscielny in my team, and I feel quite happy with that. I'll see what goes there, and I don't consider that a mistake at all. But no, I like Azpilicueta.
Yeah,
he's always been good.
I just don't like him at City and Everton up next. That's the trouble. This is why I did have him in, and I got rid because I thought, well, I did fancy Swansea to score. I thought that Swansea were in good shape, and they were probably the most before City tonight. Yeah. I would say they're probably the most impressive team of the weekend.
I think Gomez looks a good shout for this coming week.
Yeah.
They're playing. Who they're playing? Newcastle.
Newcastle. Did you see Newcastle conceded both goals to headers?
Yeah.
I mean,
and they conceded loads of chances.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Rough or the smooth, Jonty. What have you got there? Let's have some tales of woe and community.
Do you want to go tales of woe first rather than tales of smooth operators? But I can go for that. I'll go with the tales of woe first because we've got a lot of these smooth ones. So Okay, so quick ones. Moyne, Connor Wickham. Just what a punt.
Risky.
It didn't work out. He's got a rank of 1.7 million. Actually, that's not too bad this week, considering there's 2.8 million players.
Yeah.
Jones Tone, Captain Hazards, removed Darmian for Mertesacker.
Oh dear.
This is the worst one. Went for Richie over Mahrez. So, and he's not happy with Özil or Milner, but I think he should hold there. And his only point scorers were Rooney and Pella. So not too bad, but yeah, it's pretty bad. Zeslinger he dropped Azpilicueta for Bellerin, who didn't play and got 0. So he missed out on 6 points there, and it gets worse because that means that Coates
came off the bench, didn't he?
Yeah, he came off his bench, so he's actually got -1. So. That was a pretty poor one, but these smooth ones, I quite like these ones. So let's go with our own Fantasy Football Scout contributor, Andy, Leicester fan. He 2 years ago he won our moderators and contributors.
3 years ago, I think.
3 years ago with some audacious moves.
He's the original Maverick, isn't he?
He's the Maverick. The last 2 seasons, his Maverick punts have completely failed, and he's done pretty badly. He started in style, got in and captained Mahrez.
Unbelievable. I mean, I know he's a Leicester fan, right? Yeah. But has he not got Vardy up front as well?
Well, he always does this. He always gets Vardy or Nugent or Mahrez.
Yeah, okay. So what's interesting here? He gets Vardy and Mahrez, and the captain he chooses Mahrez, which you'd have thought if you were going to choose one of the two, you probably would have gone Vardy. But
can I just ask a question? Did we know that he was on penalties before the?
No.
Well.
We thought Ulloa would start.
Well, he is and he isn't, because Ulloa and Nugent are ahead of him. It's just they weren't there. So we kind of didn't know. It's like, did we know who the third choice Leicester taker was? Well, it's hard to tell. So we now know who the third choice.
I'm sure Andy will tell us that he took one 4 years ago for Leicester in
but the fact is we thought Ulloa would start up front with Vardy. That was the thing, and so
but it gets better for Raheem Sterling's just been subbed off, by the way. But it gets better for Andy. He got Mings in. Oh no, Mings isn't playing. But hey, what's this? Aston Villa's Richards and his 8 points comes off his bench. So he's got an absolutely huge. So he's on 55 so far. He's got Kolarov playing. So
another 6.
Another 6. He's got Aguero who's come on for points of 7. So he's looking at 62 probably, and a pretty impressive rank. I would say.
Well done, Andy. Well done. Who else you got?
One in a million. Success. He plays bench boost.
Interesting.
He says due to historically always choosing the wrong players to bench. What a bench, eh? Mahrez and Bakuna, 20 points.
Hold on. I don't understand why you play bench boost in game week 1 when game week 1 is probably the hardest one to predict.
He can't predict. He knows he gets it wrong. He did get it wrong, and now he's got 20 points.
Okay, so I suppose there is an argument.
That's brilliant. I love that. Dark Knight, another smooth, got rid of Chadley for Mahrez 15 minutes before deadline, so 11:30. He did that on Saturday morning. So yeah, he's doing pretty good there. Case 2, in my last minute switch around to bring in Aguero, I dropped Henderson for Mahrez. And in his mini league, they have weekly £10 prizes, so he looks odds on for that. And the last one here, Alfresco. He started with Mahrez and Cabaye as well. I would not have considered Cabaye for that match.
No, I did.
But top 2,500 rank. So he's in the top 10,000 already. He's got Aguero to go, so he's probably going to stay within that. He tells us to go with our gut, apparently. So,
I mean, nice work. I mean, Mahrez was someone on the Friday. You weren't in the Rate My Team surgery on the Friday. And Simon and Luke and Tom Fenley and I were discussing budget midfielders. We discussed Mahrez. I said he's the one I fancied, and I took him out Saturday morning because I was in a situation where I wanted to get Pella, and I was looking at it going, well, who am I going to play, Pella or Mahrez? I wasn't going to keep Mahrez on the bench because I thought, well, it'll be terrible if I keep him on the bench and he scores. So I subbed him out, put Westwood in order to keep 2.5 million aside for Aguero or whatever I needed it for. So I had Mahrez in my team, but took him out. But in the end, I'm pleased I did, because if I'd have had him on the bench, how painful would that have been? Starting the season like that, it would have been awful. So and Pella got a goal for me, so I'm philosophical about that. And you need to be game week 1. It's game week 1.
Yeah, I did this. I had Albrighton in my original draft team, which I posted up on the site. Yeah. I don't know. I just got fixated with Richie, and plus he had what looked like a better fixture.
That's true.
But Sunderland at home. I don't know. I just didn't. The thing is with Leicester is that with Ranieri, new manager, I just wasn't 100% sure whether they'd be able to keep up the form that they showed last season. Yeah. And who's to say they will? They'll continue on with that. But
talking of Ranieri, I mean, Leicester have gone from Nigel Pearson, possibly the most unpleasant manager in the Premier League, to Ranieri, who drops in Kasabian in his post-match interviews. Is he the loveliest manager I've ever?
Really?
Unbelievable.
He said he loves the hard rock, apparently.
Yeah. And not because he dropped him Kasabian. I'm not a Kasabian fan by any stretch of the imagination. But in interviews, he's just golden. He's such a, you look at him. You can imagine him being interviewed on Match of the Day, and you can imagine Nigel Pearson at home smirking and going, "Who's this Burke in charge of my team?" But he won 4-2. I know Nigel's probably at home taking all the credit for that, but what a contrast between the two of them. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
It's I really hope Ranieri is a success with it, because he's a lovely man.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not. He just comes across like that, but it seems that way. Okay, John T. Well, we've got some community questions. I'll take it.
I've got lots here. I've tried to kind of package them up because there's some on similar themes. So let's start with West Ham, because they've got a couple of great home fixtures coming up.
Yes, indeed.
So Bubs asked, "What do we think of Payet? Is it? How do we pronounce this now?
Payet.
It's Payet. It's with the T.
Come to me for the pronunciations. I keep telling you.
Jazid asks Payet or Sacco or both. And Les Blues asks, "Is Sacco captain material?" So it's clear the community there are looking at these two.
Well, let's start by saying, let's look at the fixtures, right? Because this is why it's important. They've got Leicester, Bournemouth in the next two, right? Yeah. Two blues on the ticker.
Yeah.
Liverpool away, Newcastle at home, City away, Norwich away. So they've got two very difficult away games, but 4 home games, you think they're going to score goals and win those games, particularly having seen them at Arsenal. And the 2 players you mentioned, Payet and Sacco, got to be key targets.
Yes.
Well, Granville, what did you make of those two, and which one do you fancy over them?
I think I fancy Payet. I loved watching him actually. I'd heard quite a lot about him, and I really just caught when he signed. I just checked him out on YouTube just briefly, but he looks a real deal. He looks a very good player, and the way that they played on the break, I think he's like always made the right decision and was able to take on players and just keep control of the ball. So I think I'm not sure about Sacco. I guess that he'd be the best choice out of the forwards, but still 6.5. It's only because my budget is so tight at the minute that I can't really afford him unless I get rid of Ivanovic, which could be an option looking at Chelsea's fixtures. But I think I would do something because maybe Reece Oxford is even if he doesn't play, he's 4 million. He's going to release some money and. Just sit on my bench. So I could clear 3 million there and then upgrade to Payet. So I think he's a very good option, and West Ham's fixtures look good.
Yeah,
John T.
I agree. Payet is. I'm looking at Hazard this week. Hazard, I got in for the Swansea game, and also you never know with him. He's obviously a great player, as we know. Looking at it though, he's always been a kind of Aguero bank for me. Yeah. So I was always had in the back of my mind, if I was minded to get rid of Hazard, which I can't see him getting a tremendous amount at City, and also Mourinho, one of his the manager that he rates the highest. He always talks about Tony beating him and Tony getting the better of him and Tony this, Tony that. Tony Pulis can get the better of Chelsea. So I'm thinking I need to save money, and this all comes back to Payet or another. So I'm looking at 11.5 down to 7.5, 7. These types of players. So Payet is someone I definitely have in mind. Get the Aguero bank going, and he's got a couple of great home games coming up. And what I love, being as you know, quite a boring, dull player is that he's just on all these set pieces. You've got the corners, you've got free kicks, you've got these lovely key chances coming out, and I think if there's going to be goals, he's going to be getting assists. Sacco, I can't argue with Sacco. West Ham actually do have a bit of choice up front. So I'm not saying that Sacco is going to be dropped, but there's other people that can score. I think
Valencia's injured at the minute.
Valencia's injured.
Yes, he's playing Zarate, isn't he?
Zarate, yeah. I mean, these are players. I mean, this is a new manager, so it's not like Sam Allardyce saying, "Oh, I'm not going to play." We don't know. We don't know who's going to come in, who's impressing him in training. So yeah, for me, I agree with you, Granville. Payet is.
I mean, personally, I've got a problem because I had 4 players not start the game.
Yeah.
At the weekend, and the players I'm looking to take out are the ones who did start. So I'm going to have to probably think hard about that. I'm going to end up spending points. I can see.
I'm sure we'll come to this, but I don't have a problem with spending points now. I've done it. Did it with great success last year when I got cruel.
It's only because I've only got like 24 points. So spending 4 points is
that hurts, doesn't it?
It's a sixth of my total.
I mean, what about you, Mark? Are you Payet, Sacco, bit of both?
I'll talk about it at the end. I'm going to get one of them, and I'll tell you my logic behind it at the end.
Okay. Well, it's a quick one. Moving over to Spurs. So, what do we think of Eriksen? Now, Slamdog Mignolet asked this. What do we think of Eriksen? I guess that's kind of linked in with Kane. What do we think of Kane up front and no one supplying him? So that's possibly the next question there.
Well, again, it's a fixtures thing, isn't it? Just to outline those, they got Stoke, Everton, and Palace at home, and Leicester and Sunderland. That's their next 5 away. Really strong fixtures. So we're expecting Kane to flourish. But did you see the United game, Jonty? What did you think?
Yeah, well, I saw the highlights and was listening to some of it. It's the same story. There's just a lack of service, lack of meaningful service. I thought Kane did what he's meant to do. I just think the others didn't. It was an odd game for Spurs. I can't quite work out the Man U defence at the moment. I can't work out whether they were very good or they're just a bit fortunate. But Chadley's a player that I would look at perhaps more. People always say, but he looks like he was bored. He's not doing much. But that's his game. That's what he does, and then he scores a goal. So if I was looking at a Spurs option and I had the money, Kane. If I was looking for save a bit of money, Chadley. Eriksen's third on my list.
Really?
8.5. 8.5. Not
Yeah, I mean,
other options.
I saw the game, and I think, ironically, first 25 minutes, I don't know if you saw it, Granville, Tottenham looked like they were dominating, they were going to score, then Bentaleb gave the ball away and it all turned around. I thought United were on the rack. Eriksen and Kane were looking superb, and then it just all went wrong. Eriksen got shifted out wide. I don't know what happened there. And then he came back in the centre in the last 10 minutes, and Tottenham looked like they're going to score again. I think I can't. I mean, I think Kane's expensive at the moment. I can't afford him because I'm waiting to see what happens with Aguero. So I think obviously with Walcott sitting there, Eriksen's a consideration. So I think Eriksen is a good bet for the next few games. I think you are going to consider Tottenham cover, but I think I'm going to leave it a week to see what they do next time out, because I am concerned that we saw last year they dried up completely. So I'll wait. I'll wait to see what they do with Stoke, because they've still got 4 games after that which look favourable enough. So I think
I have to strike while the iron's hot and captain him this week. I think.
Who, Kane?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's my best differential, really. I'm calling it a differential, but if people are going with other players, put it that way, Pele and Lukaku and whoever else. I think I'm not really interested in Eriksen. I had him for a couple of weeks last season, and he did absolutely nothing for me. So I think I'm going to avoid him, and I think there's plenty of value to be gained from the lower price, the budget midfielders. I think this year. We'll see how it goes, but I'm gonna stick by the players who I chose for a reason at the beginning of the season, except for Ivanovic, because he was always like one of those that I thought, well, first week he did it before. I'm gonna have a go with him, but it's just looking at the $7 million that I'm spending on him at the beginning of the season when defences are quite dodgy, it's probably not really worth keeping him. So, and he just releases a bag full of money for me to spend elsewhere.
Going back to midfielders, I mean, we're talking about Eriksen at 8.5. One of the reasons why I think Eriksen won't pick up customers is the 7 million midfielders. We talked about Payet already. Wijnaldum of Newcastle scored, looked very impressive. Ayew of Swansea scored, looked very impressive. And so those three, all at 7 million, no one expected all three of them to settle immediately, but all three of them got returns first week. And they've all got, well, okay, Wijnaldum's at Swansea, but certainly Ayew and Payet look good at 7 million for next game week and beyond. So I think Eriksen's not going to get the traffic, but that doesn't mean to say he's not going to get the points because the fixtures are so strong.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've also got the likes of Punchin and Kabaye, because I think Palace are going to have a strong season. They did ride the luck a bit actually against Norwich, but they had just a bit more nails than them.
No one's going to look at Palace at the moment, though. Look at the fixtures.
No,
Arsenal, Villa, Chelsea, City, Tottenham. You don't go near them yet, but they've got runs coming up. And then by then, Balassi will kick in, you'd hope.
Yeah, there's Balassi as well.
Next
so
one,
loads of options.
Yeah, so next one we've got, well, I kind of bunched this up. We talked a lot about Arsenal and a bit about Chelsea. So kind of a whole bunch of questions here, so we kind of looked through them. So Kabai asks, is Hazard to Sanchez a valid move given Chelsea's fixtures? I would say yes. I would definitely recommend Sanchez. He looks right up for it, and we know about his fitness. We know about his value. That's not to say Hazard's a bad option. I just think Hazard's a potentially bad option at the moment. But I don't know what you two think.
Is that because they had a pretty bad start? They've had a strange pre-season, and yeah, they just don't look. I mean, they just didn't look at it at all at the weekend. No. I really didn't understand it. And,
no, it's very disappointing. We did. I was having a look at the shots conceded in the box figures, and usual suspects: West Ham, Sunderland, and then Chelsea. Wow, never seen them there. They were double digits. Conceding of shots in the box. That's not going to. I don't think that's going to happen at Manchester City. Manchester City look good tonight, obviously. Chelsea, I think, have to pick it up. They can't be. Well, I would say they can't be beaten. They can't be beaten like that. It would be too catastrophic for their season.
It is a problem. I mean, I'm going into that game with 3 players as it is. That's way too many for what could well be a 0-0 or a very tight game.
Yeah.
Or City-Chelsea?
Yeah, I think
on tonight's evidence, City, it ain't going to be 0-0, because I don't see Chelsea handling that. Because looking at what Swansea did, they're causing problems. I think City have got to fancy that.
I think Mourinho away from home against the big sides has always gone the same policy. It's a completely different team.
Yeah.
Completely different setup.
Yeah, it is, but I think there's no question that he'll park the bus. Having seen City tonight, he's going to go there. I don't think he's going to take any risk. We'll see Ramirez play. We'll see Fabregas in the number 10, but dropping back to make a 5-man midfield. They're not going to be ambitious. I wouldn't have said.
No, they're not going to. They were probably complacent at the weekend. I think it's going to be completely different, and you'll find. I don't think City are going to turn them over. No.
I think it's potentially a good week to have a Chelsea defender. I remember a couple of seasons ago having playing Terry and no one else played their Chelsea defender, and of course Chelsea went there and it was 1-0. I don't think Chelsea will win, but yeah, 0-0. But there's a few going
back to Hazard Sanchez. The one thing I would say in favour of Sanchez at the moment, or going forward, and I've said this before, with Hazard, teams when they play Chelsea, they know if they stop Hazard, that's going to stifle Chelsea quite a lot. If you stop Sanchez, you have got other players to worry about. I do look at Chelsea's attacking lineup and think, well, Costa can't do it on his own, and if you stop Hazard, which is easier said than done because he can beat 2-man markers. Then you're stifling Chelsea to some extent. Yeah. So I think Hazard will have a harder season this year.
I have a feeling that he'll bring in Cuadrado for Willian. Willian's just kind of. I mean, he's just rubbish. He was just knocking the ball. I think he's a good hard-working player, but he's not going to give you much in attack.
Yeah,
I think they really missed a bit of pace on the outside. Hazard didn't look right actually. He didn't look he just didn't look ready for the game. But Willian had loads of chances. He just didn't do much of the ball at all.
Yeah. Okay, John, to your next lot.
So yeah, well, we got a. This is kind of both linked in really about Walcott. So Andy85, our very own moderator, and Giggs Boaston. Andy85 asked, stick or twist with Walcott. Giggs Boaston, if Walcott does play, will Sanchez crowd the box and dampen his goal threat? He asks. The penalty box touch stats from the West Ham match when they were both on suggest so. For me, I don't think you can draw too much into that half an hour coming on. Correct me if I'm wrong, Walcott and Sanchez played effectively well together towards the end of last season.
Did Sanchez play that much at the end of the season?
He played a bit.
I think they struggled, didn't they? They struggled for goals towards the end of the season. They got a few in the last game, but prior to that, they did struggle for a few games.
It's possible, I think. I mean, going back to the stick or twist with Walcott, I think not against Palace. I think he'll play. I think he could do some damage there. Palace, I mean, were impressive, but they're not impressive at the back still. But long term, I think it's 9 million's a lot of money for a player that there's always that question mark about whether they'll start.
Well, the problem is with Walcott there is if he plays against Palace and he scores, it's Liverpool at home next, right? So what do you do then? If I'm going to hold Walcott for that, but if he scores at Palace, and there's a chance he will if he starts, I won't know what to do then, because the obvious thing is I get rid. But will Wenger drop him then against Liverpool? Will he bring Giroud in? Is Liverpool at home one of those games where he plays Giroud? Because do Liverpool turn up and park the bus? Probably not.
We don't know, and that's uncertainty. And with uncertainty means, well, let's move on to something that's certain. So what's certain at 9 million? Well, we're looking at Sterling.
Yeah, you say that, but the thing is, I'll have other uncertainties other than Walcott this stage in the season. I mean, if Walcott's my only uncertainty, then I'm lucky because early on everyone look at Granville's team. So yeah, if I've got nothing else to do, I'll probably get Walcott out. Even if I think he is going to play against Liverpool, but if there's another option, I'm going to be thinking about putting Aguero in, for example. Why would
I personally would not want to get rid of Walcott and not have Sanchez. If I going into an Arsenal match, any Arsenal match, and not owning Walcott or Sanchez would make me nervous. I'd like to own one of them. So I'm waiting for that moment. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen in the next few? There could be injuries, suspensions, make my mind up for me. Moving over to Chelsea, Jernedge93 asks, "What about Oscar?" And Invertebrate asks, "Where now Fabregas?" So they're linked in because Oscar had the number 10 role, and he's taken all his set pieces off Fabregas. So
what happened there?
So perhaps more in the defensive games against City, we might see Oscar dropped and Fabregas playing there, but early doors, it's looking like Oscar's the man there in midfield.
Why is he suddenly giving set pieces to Oscar?
What he might have done is he might have seen our scout predictions, and he might have seen that I put Oscar's this year's best differential.
Oh, that'll be it.
And I was having
so did I.
I was having a chat with Ruth NZ, a Chelsea fan, on our Fantasy Football Scout, and I said if I was a brave man. And Ruth NZ can confirm this later in the week on the site. If I said to him, if I was a brave man, I would get Oscar in this week, but I'm not, so I'm getting Hazard. So I'm not a brave man. I didn't get Oscar in.
But I looked at the stats. Oscar took 7 corners all season last year, and he took. Chelsea got 4 corners, and he took 2 of them this year. So clearly, there's been a change.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? He only took 7 all last year, and he took 2 of the 4 on Saturday. So why would you? It's not like you're going, well, we want Fabregas in the box.
Something has changed this year. What's going on? Oscar. There was talk that Oscar might be offloaded, but the actual talk, for those listening to Mourinho, he was saying he's really looking forward to Oscar playing this year. The first year he's had a break because he's played for Brazil most summers, and this is Oscar without a break. So
good point.
Yeah, that's why.
What's he gone? Going back to set pieces, has he gone with? Has Oscar gone? Well, I want all the set pieces because that looks like what's happened.
Maybe just Oscar's. He's just proven himself in training to be better at them.
Yeah. So the king of assists may not be the king any longer. Fabregas.
And just finally on the Arsenal Chelsea assets, Gord DZ asks, is it time to ditch the Chelsea defence? I always say no, because I think the Chelsea defence ordinarily is a very reliable beast. Azpilicueta proved that to me this week. Bonus in concedes 2 goals, gets an assist, and then grabs 2 bonus points. I think perhaps Ivanovic and Terry at 7 million is a bit too pricey, but if someone's got, Cahill I noticed had some very impressive defensive stats as well. And with Chelsea, you've got to get down to the boring bonus points thing, because that's when if they're going to be grinding out 1-0 results, then
yeah, but are they? Swansea, made them look vulnerable, and so teams are going to turn up at the bridge and go, well, if we turn up with a bit of threat, maybe we can.
I can't believe that Mourinho is going to allow Chelsea to have the kind of start.
No, I'm totally with you, John. I think it's at the minute it's a one-off.
Yeah.
Let's not extrapolate out a game where they were obviously a bit complacent, coming off a pre-season where they were. The thing is, what I heard today actually on the sports channel was that the teams have been playing more and more pre-season friendlies in far-flung places, and they do come back and they're tired. It's ridiculous to think that they're tired coming back from pre-season. Pre-season is supposed to get them ready for a season, not to tire them out from the start. And so it's affected all the big teams, and obviously not City, but who knows whether they've had the easiest fixture. I think it's just Swansea were up for it, and they surprised everyone.
Okay, well, look at this though. Look at their fixtures, right? Chelsea's home games, the next 3, Palace, Arsenal, and Southampton, right? I think all 3 of those teams have enough threat. If you look at Palace, who can cause them problems with their away from home. Palace are a force.
Yeah.
Arsenal obviously could score at Stamford Bridge, and Southampton, yeah, they've got enough threat as well. I would say we could be seeing Chelsea struggle for clean sheets if they don't keep them away from home. But obviously away from home is probably where they are going to keep them, because they're going to keep things tight and play on the break. But I think those home games, having conceded at Swansea, I think Palace, Arsenal, and Southampton will fancy scoring. I really do. So we'll see. Is it time to get rid of the Chelsea defence? Maybe it wasn't time to get them in the first place. I just think I
agree with that. In hindsight.
Yeah, this is it.
It just looked such a good fixture, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
At home. They did the same. Did they play them beginning last season? It
was that shower at Old Trafford who played them last season and lost opening game. But they put 9 goals past them last year, Chelsea.
Yeah, Costa and Oscar were the ones that did the damage. Oscar again.
But the thing is, no one expected, or I didn't expect Swansea to turn up with that kind of attacking threat. I thought they'd be struggling for goals.
Well, this leads nicely to JNEdge93 again, who asks which Swansea player looks the most tempting. So this goes, there's a lot now, aren't there? So at the beginning of the season, during pre-season I would have said, Sigurdsson there. Gomez maybe, but Gomez looked very impressive underlying stats there. Lots of headed shots. Now they're playing Newcastle next, aren't they?
Yeah, well they've got Newcastle and Sunderland, so
Newcastle concede lots of headed shots, and Gomez scores from lots of headed shots. So,
there you go. You don't need to be the club to work that one out.
Yeah, I'd be looking at Gomez ahead of how much is he? Six or 6? How much is he?
7.
6'5".
No, 7.
He's 7. He's 7.
As an alternative to Sacco, I think just those two fixtures are good fixtures. Good fixtures against weak defensive teams.
Yeah.
I
mean, they're going to rip Sunderland apart based on Sunderland's performance at Leicester.
We know the thing about Gomez. What I like about him is we know what he is. We know that he's a good striker. We saw that last term. He's not an unknown. He's not like Wilson or Troy Deeney. We know exactly what he is in the Premier League. And if Swansea are playing like that, well, I think he is the most tempting.
What about Montero?
Still a punt for me because they have Europe and there is other players that can play well. Wayne Routledge can play well in that role. There's options there. I think Gomez is undisputedly their main striker. They don't have as good options. I think Montero, he's good, but I would still put him within that punt category. And this stage of the season, we don't want more punts. We don't want more players that aren't going to play.
The other player I was thinking about in that same price bracket would be Lambert, but I think that might pass now because they've signed Rondon today.
Well, that means Berahino's going to go, though, isn't it?
Yeah, we know Berahino's going to go, I think. But will they play together? Will he play with Lambert? He'll probably play the two up front.
Going back to Swansea, no one's mentioned Ayew then. I mean, he looked impressive. I mean, he's the straight swap for Sigurdsson, 7 million.
Yeah.
No one fancy that?
Well, it's just in comparison to Gomez, and also because you've got all these other options in midfield. We've said Payet as well, and you mentioned cheaper ones, Mahrez or Brighton. They're 2 million cheaper. They've just got 15.
The thing is with Gomez, right? He got 7 goals last year. We do know what he is. He misses a lot of chances. He's not really a top class striker.
But that's the same with Pella last year as well.
I know.
Exactly the
The
same.
the difference this year is, if he's going to play Montero and Ayew either side of him, suddenly they've got a supply, haven't they? I don't think he had that last year. And if he's going to play Montero at Stamford Bridge, he's going to play him every game, isn't he? So I suddenly think if Gomez gets 5 chances, he scores 1 goal. It's like Giroud. I mean, in Arsenal's team, Giroud there's a possibility.
Penalties as well.
Yeah, penalties as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I like him. I like him a lot. So we're looking at. There's a question about Andy85 again about captaincy, but we can come to that afterwards when we talk about our what we might be doing next week. But the last one about wildcard. When's the best time to use it? There's going to be a few using it now.
What are they trying to say?
I personally know. I mean, I might be tempted if I can't get the players I want in by game week 4, and by game week 4 I'm talking Aguero, a decent Arsenal option, and a team that I like. Then it's possible I will play it in game week 4. It just depends how my team's set up. If my team is looking really not very well set up, I haven't got the main captaincy options everyone else has, then no. But ideally, I'll probably use it just before, if all goes well. We have to use it by game week 19, I believe. So I would ideally look to set myself up for Christmas. Nice Christmas present for myself.
Give yourself a wild card for Christmas. Nice idea. Not just for Christmas.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to end up playing
that really tickled me.
I think I will end up playing it because I never have a clue when to play it. This is it. If you don't play it in the first 3 or 4 weeks, it just burns a hole, doesn't it, in your pocket, as Granville knows.
It's a different situation this year, isn't it? Because we have the 2 in either half of this. You've got to use it by game week 19. We never had that before. So it just means that you can afford to play it a little bit early, and not really worry about the rest of the season. So I think Jonty's right. I think it's about setting up your team early. I think just having a bad game week 1 was bad enough, but having players who are now rotation risks is a double problem. It's just you could find yourself behind by quite a bit after say 3 or 4 weeks, and sometimes having the boost of that wild card early can really help you along.
But it is going to be a problem because if you don't play it in the opening period, what you're going to get like with 4 weeks to go till game week 19, you're going to go, well, what am I going to do with it? It'd be like, well, am I going to end up having to play it in game week 19 because I've still got it and I've got to use it?
I think what we have to look at is fixture shifts. So I used mine last year, tail end of November. There was the big fixture shift for Southampton. Southampton fixtures suddenly went from amazing, and they were incredible, and they gave us loads of points, to not so good. And then some of the other teams started getting a bit better, Chelsea, for example, and some of the other heavy hitters. And it just seemed right to start making that switch. And what I'll be looking at in the fixtures, in our Frisking the Fixtures articles, is those shifts, big shifts. And actually, game week 4 is one of those shifts because City's fixtures. Right? I mean, Aguero, I think it'd be right 6-7 game weeks. You could happily just captain Aguero there, and you'd probably want Silva or Sterling as well.
Perhaps. Looking at game week 4, so basically City from game week 4 to game week 11. Yeah. These are the teams coming to the Etihad: Watford, West Ham, Newcastle, Bournemouth and Norwich. Well, so in the space of 7 game weeks, they've got 5 home games, all of which look like 3 or 4 goals, or 2, 3, 4 goals.
Yeah, if at game week 4 I'm not in a position where I can't get Aguero or Silva, and then I will wildcard definitely, because that would ruin my season definitely.
So, yeah. Okay, next one, Jonty.
Yeah, do you think?
Well, the last. Well, last few questions really we can come to with our when we discuss our team really around captaincy and things like that and changes we'll make this week. So we can come to that. But we're just going to look at just next week's fixtures. I don't know if you wanted to just have a quick browse through.
Yeah, we're not going to do the heavy hitters and fancy.
No, we'll just kind of have a look, see if anything stands out.
Well, we talked about Swansea Newcastle, didn't we, as one, and obviously the West Ham Leicester in there will be a tight game. Probably plenty of goals, you'd have thought. Anything else there, Granville? What did you see?
I did have a look at. Let me just have a look. The teams. So the teams who conceded the most chances last week were Sunderland, Chelsea, but I think we can count that as a one-off. Newcastle. So the Swansea game at home to Newcastle, Norwich away to Sunderland. What do you think of that? Do you think? I don't know whether we can trust Norwich yet.
No,
but
there's pressure.
You certainly can't. You certainly can't trust Sunderland. And the West Ham at home to Leicester. I think Leicester. I can see West Ham scoring there. And Southampton at home to Everton. Well, Everton didn't make a good start defensively either.
What do you make of Liverpool-Bournemouth? Because everyone was looking at that going, Benteke for captain.
Yeah, no, I like.
Then people watched him against Stoke and maybe changed their mind. John T, you still reckon?
I think a striker against Stoke at the Britannia on a cold evening at the.
Wasn't that bloody cold, was it?
It was like the warmest day of the year.
Not even Coutinho had gloves on. It can't be that cold.
But then, big difference to playing at 8 o'clock Monday night at Anfield. Benteke, the new number 9, against Bournemouth, the promoted side. Big difference. So
you fancy
that looks like a
I've got Benteke. The captaincy is currently on him. That may shift. I just think Benteke is reliable. I think I don't take necessarily, and I think he's done. I think he showed enough towards the end of last season. He's not known for pace. It's more about the other players. Coutinho's not going to score those types of goals every week. It's the other players getting service to Benteke at home, at Anfield, in front of the Kop. Yeah, Monday night as well. So I've got something to.
I'll put it to you. I'll put it to you, John T. Benteke is a bit of a maverick pig, I think, having seen him against Stoke, because I don't think he. I think he looked miles off, to be honest. But
could be.
It much depends if Bournemouth turn up. We don't know what to expect from them. On paper, you think, Benteke goal. Rate My Team says Benteke goal. He'll be one of the favourites in the captaincy poll. It looks a sure bet, but having watched him against Stoke, I think he was still short. And also, I don't think Liverpool quite are in tune with him yet. I think it's going to take a few weeks.
Might do.
No, this is my reason. This is the reason for not starting with Liverpool players. No, certainly not attacking players. They need to adjust. There's no Sterling, don't forget. They need to completely adjust. And Benteke is a different type of player to Sturridge and to Suarez. It's going to take him. It's going to take him a while. I don't know. It didn't look to me a Brendan Rodgers signing at all. But I still think he's a class player. Don't get me wrong, and he's great in the air. So what did you think of Rudy Gestede? Because I've seen quite a bit of him actually last season. He's such a beast in the air in the box.
He's a bit of a weapon, isn't he?
He scored about 15. I don't know. He scored about 15 goals last season.
Well, they've rolled it out. No one scored more headers than him in the last 2 seasons in any league in the English league. So
there you go.
League. So yeah, I mean, what my question to you is he going to use him as a secret weapon? Is he just going to leave him on the bench for 20 minutes to go, then bring him on and throw everything in the air? Is that what he's going to do, or is he actually going to start him against United?
I think he'll start against United. I mean, United did concede a few goals from corners. I think last season. Maybe I'm making a mistake, but maybe he won't do anything against United. But I think overall, I think he's one of those who can score. He scores goals. So does Callum Wilson as well. I think they're gonna make an impact. All these new players from the Championship. Definitely.
Well, if I was Tim Sherwood, right, and I was playing United, and they got Romero in goal, I would play Gestede and go absolutely clatter him in the first 10 minutes. As soon as we get a corner, stick it on him, because he's not very fancy, is he? I mean,
he doesn't collect the ball well, apparently as well. So that may well happen. But they've got other weapons as well. I mean, they've got Ogbonna. He came up for corners, I think, at the weekend. So. Yeah, I think United have to beware, but Jones is out now for a few weeks again. This time with thrombosis. Can you believe that?
Yeah, in his car.
So Smalling's going to have to be on his mettle, but I think he might start.
So Friday night kickoff. What do we feel about that? It's our first one, the only one this season.
Well, yeah, we know
we've got to adjust, and it's all different, isn't it? Got to get used to it because there's going to be 10 of them next year.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's, we get to know the team sheets.
Do you remember Friday night football years ago? I think it was before the Premier League.
No, I don't.
Well, as a Brighton fan, I'm used to it for in the lower divisions. So I think it's a good thing. I used to go see Brighton on a Friday night because I used to have a Saturday job back in the day. So when they played on a Friday, it was great for me.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting having that deadline on the Friday. I wonder if anyone's actually going to miss the deadline. I wouldn't be surprised. Game week 2 is very early to get that in.
I think the well-owned players at Man U. I think Rooney's going to play, Depay's going to play, Darmian, all these players that people are after. They're all going to play, so I don't think it's going to be surprises there. I think if anyone wanted
I'm not talking about players in the teams. I'm talking about FPL managers who aren't ready and know there's a deadline on Friday evening.
Right, yeah. Well, they might. Well, I mean, at this time of the season, they might just stick with what they've got. Who did they captain? So they would have captained Rooney, or they would have captained Hazard. So if they captained Hazard, then and left it on him, I think that's a mistake. Perhaps Rooney, although it was pointed out to me that I thought Rooney had a good record against Villa. I didn't realise that it was mainly at home, and he hasn't scored at Villa since 2010. So
I see him struggling there. I wasn't impressed with United.
I thought, well, he's going to do okay. But then again, with Rooney, he got the assist, didn't he, in the game against Spurs?
Well, yeah. I think we've lost Granville, have we? Yeah, we've lost Granville there. He's gone. He's dropped out.
He might pop back. So
okay. Well, let's end by talking about our transfers for the week ahead. Jonty, what have you got in mind then? You got plenty of work to do, you think?
I'm gonna make one. I'm not gonna keep it. Basically, the two players I'm looking to get rid are Wilson and Hazard. I'm at this stage thinking Payet in for Hazard, possibly giving Wilson another week. Or I'm tempted to make a hit and get Gomez in. And if I get Gomez in, I'd be tempted to captain him. He would look on my team with Benteke, Rooney, my Arsenal players. He would look to me actually the best captaincy choice, which sounds potentially maverick, but I actually think it's probably quite dull because I've looked at the stats about headed goals and Newcastle conceded them. So if I go that route, so that's what I'm thinking of at the moment. So
yeah, I mean that would be, but we've said, I mean, Newcastle conceded both their goals to Southampton in the air, and Swansea looks so impressive. You've got to think they're going to score 1 or 2 in that.
Yeah.
So I think Gomez could be a decent transfer. I'm looking at that as well. The thing is with my situation, although I've had a bad game week, I have got that 2.5 in the bank, which is quite nice. And also because I've got Sterling and Silva, I've got my City cover already done, right? So if I don't get Aguero in, even if I leave Aguero this week and next week, I think they're at Everton after Chelsea. So I can probably go to game week 4 before I start sweating on Aguero. But even then, I could probably go, well, I've got Silva and Sterling. So I've got 2.5 million in the bank and some time on Aguero. So I've got the chance to make some vanity transfers. Although I've got Wilson, who I probably need to get rid of, who's at Liverpool. I don't want to get fidgety on Bournemouth yet because I do think they could do all right. But I think with Sacco and Gomez there, those are options. So the problem I've got is Walcott, because obviously if Walcott even if Walcott plays at Palace, I'm going to get rid game week 3 probably. So that'll be my midfield transfer, which will probably be Walcott to Payet maybe. So that means if I'm going to get either Payet or Sacco in this week, it'll probably have to be Sacco. So I'm probably going to have to go Sacco in for Wilson and hope that Payet doesn't do anything.
I think getting one in is. I mean, on paper, Saka will score the goal, Payet will get the assist.
Yeah.
There might be a slight variation on that, but I think they're both players. I think going in with one is advisable. What you've just been describing your team there, it's a hazardless team, and I think that shows what you can do with a hazardless team. You've got flexibility there. It's something that I didn't give myself. I thought I was giving myself, but I didn't, and I wish I'd given. I wish I had held fire on Hazard, and as I said to Ruth NZ, I wish I had got Oscar instead. because for 8.5 million, I think that's okay. But 11.5 million, I want that player to be banging them in, getting the points every week. And if they're not, then time to go.
Yeah, sorry for disappearing. My connection dropped out.
That's all right. Granville, it's over to you on your transfers for the first week then. Come on.
Well, I think I kind of mentioned what I'm looking at. I'm looking at ditching Ivanovic and coming up with some money to spend in the midfield. I don't know. There's a few options there, and I'm going to look at Hazard as well, whether I can downgrade him and then upgrade Wanyama. It's just my worry is the rotation, like Walcott and Mings and Bellerin, whether he's going to be fit. I don't know. I just don't want to leave myself short again. I've got to have options. But West Ham, Swansea, those are the two teams I'm going to be looking at.
Yeah, I think they're the standouts this week. I mean, I'm nervous about Liverpool, so I'm West Ham, Swansea. It's going to be one of those teams that I go to, and for me, it's like I'm looking at it going, well, shall I save 2 million so I can go Walcott to Sanchez as well? So what do I do? Do I go for Aguero and have 3 Man City players for that really big spell?
I think,
or do I get Sanchez in for Walcott and leave Aguero?
The trouble is this year, I think the 3 top players are going to be Aguero, Silva, Hazard.
Do you?
Can you really have those? Likely, there's some variation there. I think they're likely to be those, and maybe Rooney as well. A combination of all those, that is a lot of budget.
Yeah.
How can you accommodate all those? You can't, so you've got to leave out one of them. For me at the minute, I'm just going to stick with Sterling and ignore Aguero, probably at my peril.
Really? I mean, the thing is, it's the captaincy, though, isn't it? That's the thing.
I've got Kane as well, and I think Kane is reliable. We'll see. We'll see whether he has second season syndrome, but I'm gonna stick it out with him for at least through this these good fixtures that we've got over the next 5 weeks. I'd be kicking myself if I got rid of him for Aguero and Kane. Went on a run. And he's so much cheaper as well than Aguero. I just cross my fingers that I can cover Aguero with Sterling, but it's difficult, I know.
It is. I mean, we just don't know what Aguero, whether he's going to explode from the off. We'll get an idea against Chelsea how good he looks. I mean, he came on tonight. We'll see. It's a big factor. Sanchez and Aguero entering in game week 2 or game week 3. It's a big start to the season. Lots of uncertainties. We've had a pretty mediocre / terrible start, the 3 of us, but we're long in the tooth. We're long in the tooth. We know what it's about, right? We know there's a long way to go, and you don't make snap decisions in game week 1. We're hoping we're sitting here in a week's time, John T and Granville, and we're not quite as miffed as we are tonight, but early days. Thanks very much for joining us tonight, Granville and John T. We'll see you in a week's time with more community questions, with more rough with the smooth. Let's just hope we're amongst the smooth and not the rough. Good night from me.
Good night.
Good night from me.